guys, today we're going to be doing some rattlesnake relocation. Now if you've seen some of my videos, especially those in regards to snake trapping, you see me use these G's, crawdad, and minnow traps to capture all kinds of different snakes in different environments using different baits. It's an incredibly effective trap, works very, very well, but this video is all about the next step. What do you do when you actually capture something? Now take a look. Here in this trap, we have a young western diamondback rattlesnake. That's one of the most aggressive and venomous snakes we have down here in the southwest. Now he's just a baby, but that means that he's even more dangerous. We'll talk about that here in just a little while. Now this is going to be about how to transport safely and relocate this creature. Now, if you notice, both trap entrances are still open. If he had a mind to, if he was moving around there and still looking for the exits, there is a good possibility that he could find his way out of here. And we want to minimize or eliminate that chance and do so safely, making sure that we're not going to put ourselves in any danger or in the process inadvertently hurt the reptile that we've captured. So we'll show you the step-by-step process of doing that. Move them up the road away from humans, pets, habitations, give them somewhere with a nice view, and show you how to release them. Priority number one is going to be safety. Now the idea behind this process is that at no time should your body come in contact, especially your hands, with this snake. Now that being said, if you got gloves, go ahead and put them on. Be prepared as much as possible, even if it's just a little bit of peace of mind. Now what we'll be using to secure the ends of the trap, it's called a chum bucket. This is also offered through the tackle factory. They advertise it as something to put your chum in and chunk over the side of your boat or your dock. I often use these just to put excess bait in and throw it back out. But this is a closed basket effectively. So you have the same end on here as your traps for the most part, with one exception. There's no cone down on this end. So there's no way for things to get in or out. On the other side, we have what's effectively a lid. And so that hinges just like the traps do. Same material as the traps. Works out really well. So chumming, extra bait, and in transporting, relocating your snakes. Alright, so our chum bucket is loose. Go ahead and separate the two halves, and you'll need this larger piece at first. Make sure it is at hand. I'm going to tip up our trap because we want to make sure that our snake goes to the bottom. Okay, and go ahead and open up the top basket. Now, if you've got to tap the side of this trap, do so a few times. You want to take your time, make sure you get this thing right. Don't panic, don't knock things over, but definitely make sure that you've got your loops and your trap secure all the way through. Making sure that that snake doesn't pop up there. Also with your clips, make sure you get both loops in there. Double check, double check. Something to mention right here, notice the lack of a gap. That's because this is a G's trap. I would not do this with for Bill. Okay, you're able to get much smaller snakes and keep the creatures that you trap inside of them because of this feature right here. Alright, time to flip it. And we're going to repeat the process with our top. Check that guy out. They're active. Let's get this one on. Same thing as before. Make sure that you get both of these loops clipped on. Alright, once you're sure both of your clips are secure, there are no more openings left on this trap, it is time to relocate your snake. It's worth mentioning, you want to keep your hands away from that cage. Something like that's going to occur. So having ropes and clips on this is a must. If you're transporting by vehicle, you want to make sure that they're in a climate controlled area. Now these guys can't really regulate their body temperature. If they get too hot, they get too cold, they're going to be in trouble quickly. A lot of people are not going to be okay with them being up at the cab. The trunk's fine as long as it's the right time of year. But for me, I'll buckle them into the seat or put them down on the floorboard, make sure they can't roll around, and above all else, make sure that they can't come in contact with my skin while I'm driving around. I've got a place up here picked out that ought to work. One thing that I've failed to mention thus far has to do with some of your more aggressive snakes. Now they can strike at the cages whenever they see movement. Some of them are just that way. If you've got to keep them for a little while, or if they're just doing that over and over again, might be a good thing to put a sheet over your trap to make sure that you're removing that visual stimuli, because they can really mess themselves up after a little while. This ought to work right here. Well, this is where we're going to go ahead and part ways. Now, this location is similar to where we got the snake. That's pretty important. We're away from housing, habitations, all those pets, and a pretty good little habitat. So take the top off. You can just leave the trap there and let them come out on their own. But I usually go ahead and let them slide out, get on their way. You don't have to go back into the area and maybe get bit by a snake that's under the trap or sticking around. We'll let him go off and do his thing. He'll grow up and have more babies and do his thing. Well, our young rattlesnake back here is getting acquainted with his new home. Now it needs to be understood that snake trapping and relocation is best left to the professionals. This is a bit of insight into what they do every day. But if you're put in a situation like this, call up your game warden, call up your Humane Society, your Parks and Wildlife Department. These are resources and they're to be utilized. We want to make sure that we're being legal, ethical, ecologically sound in everything we do in the outdoors, especially when it comes to the creatures that live out here. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and as always, till next time. Alright, going to go ahead and answer some questions before they are asked. No animals were harmed in the making of this video. And yes, those rattlesnakes did make their way into those traps on their own. Now, what bait did I use? Now on those G's traps, with these, nothing. I actually leave a couple on the back porch, a few down at the feed barn, a few at the garden shed, completely empty, and we check them every day. We get all kinds of crickets and insects, sometimes some lizards, and more times than you might imagine, we get snakes in there, all different types. So hurricanes just hit in the last couple days. You wouldn't be able to tell it now. Displaced a lot of creatures with the windstorms we got and the rain that we got, and now we're getting lots of little baby rattlesnakes. Fun, and moving those off as fast as we can. The trap I used is called a G's trap. That is made by Tackle Factory. Now they don't actually sell right out of the Tackle Factory, they're a supplier, so you'll have to check around Amazon, eBay. The section in the middle is called Extender. That's actually a custom extender. I'll have to talk about that later because it is not even available yet. So hopefully that becomes a thing. I'll tell you more about that later. The accessory that I was using to cap off the ends, that was called the chum bucket, or the chum attachment, also sold by Tackle Factory. So look those up, guys. That's the G's trap, minnow and crawdads. If you're interested in more videos like this one, or you want to know more about snake trapping in general, go ahead and check out these videos here on the screen. Again, hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you think.